Welcome to SORMAG's Writers Cafe, where we share the real writer's life over a cup of friendship, sprinkled with laughter and wisdom. My name is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I'm your host. This episode's sponsor is SORMAG's Promotion. Sitting at the cafe with me today is Marie Chewe-Elliott, Nameica E, and Marcia King Gamble. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm super excited to have you guys with me tonight. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and we are going to start with Marcia to get us started with what she's doing, how she's been, and tell us a little bit about your current book.
Okay, well, let's see. Life has taken a strange turn because, obviously, of the pandemic and everything. But the good thing is that I'm writing up a storm. I'm currently on furlough from my day job. Most of us writers have a day job, and I'm in the cruise industry, so you know how that ended up in any case. But it's given me a lot of time, to write. For most of you who don't know me, I've been around for quite some time. First book published in 1998. Recently, I have actually released both a novella and a short story. A novella called By Heart, which is second in the series. And earlier we had talked about Sandra Kitt. Sandra and I wrote together By Design, which was the first book. It was actually a book. This is a novella. So By Heart's a novella. I also released probably about, I would say, 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after that. After a while, it gets a little confusing. It's in a box set with a number of different authors. Actually, there are 13 additional authors, and my short story was One Last Shot. And that's kind of what I've been up to.
Do you want to read an excerpt of your book?
I can. I actually had prepared 2 of them, but you know what? I know we have other people on the panel, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read an brief excerpt from By Heart, which is the second, in the series that I had mentioned. The prior one was By Design. And you can cut me off if I'm going over the time that that I'm allotted. So here we go. So just to give you a bit of background on the story, this story is set, and actually this series is set in a department store. In the initial one was in the Philadelphia area, but this department store, which was failing, has gone on and blossomed, and so they're moving all over the country. This one, however, is still set in Philadelphia. So Cindy held the silky fabric against her skin, caressing the material like she would a lover. How had Jacques known that she had been eyeing the versatile duster for months? Even with her employee discount, it was way beyond her means. She'd pictured herself wearing the flowing material over a camisole with a pair of jeans, or taking a little black dress up a notch. Cindy saw herself stepping out of a scented bath and slipping it on, letting the soft fabric tease her skin. She'd imagined herself getting out of bed in the morning and wrapping herself in its silky folds. It was the perfect gift, and like Jacques, classy and thoughtful. She should thank him. The other items she'd stuffed away in her closet because she didn't have space for them. She'd figure it out when she had more time. It was late, so texting Jacques would probably be the better option. Her mom, who'd grumbled about the man trying to buy her, was in bed, as was her son. These few minutes of total privacy were rare. She got out her cell phone and held it in hand for a moment. A phone call could wait until tomorrow, but the thank you needed to happen tonight. She quickly typed the words, boldly adding 2 emojis, one with hearts and the other with an imprint of a woman's pouted lips. That action served to trigger the memory of Jacques' kisses. It caused heat to build up, threatening to steam up the bedroom mirror. After hitting the send button, within seconds her phone pinged. The pleasure is all mine. You made my night, Cherie. Perhaps you'll wear that lovely kimono on our next date. Kisses. Cindy hugged the phone to her chest and danced around the room. Jacques wanted to see her again. Life was good. I have more, but I think I'll end there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready, Nameica?
I sure am. I am Nameica Craig, for those of you who don't know me. Most people do know me as Nameica Speaks on social media. I am wife, mother, and all things women's empowerment. I am transitioning right now into a new phase in my life in this pandemic. So though I empathize with everyone, all of us have been affected by the pandemic in some way, but I can say God has been good to me and my family in the midst of this pandemic. I am transitioning from, well, I won't say from a motivational speaker because I'll always be that, but I'm honing my gift of writing even more so now than ever. I have been writing for over 25 years. I contributed my first writing to a documentary called The Spirit of Big Bone Women by LaShaunda. And since then, I have been writing. That was published in 2009. I've always journaled. I believe in the power of journaling, and I teach the power of journaling and manifestation that comes from it. I want to talk to you guys tonight about my book, Girl, Affirm Yourself. Girl, Affirm Yourself is not just a book. It is a movement that is now turning into a nonprofit organization that supports the daughters of absentee fathers and their mothers. My goal is to bring awareness to the fatherless daughter syndrome and provide tools and resources that will help the moms recognize the signs and symptoms in their daughters before they become dysfunctional women that need Girl, Affirm Yourself. Girl, Affirm Yourself is a daily devotional. It's a 3-part book. It speaks to the mind, renewing the mind, cleansing the heart, and strengthening the spirit. And I believe that we need all 3 of those components to, operate every day in our lives, but especially women in business and women who want to walk in their divine purpose. And I'm very passionate about Girl, Affirm Yourself and the movement. I'm also a ghostwriter. I've written 14 books for other authors since 2018. I currently have 12 clients that I write content for, so I am a content strategist. And I'm just very passionate about my gift of writing, and it is what I enjoy most. It is said that there's one thing that we do great, and we can do a lot of things good. Writing is what I'm great at. Speaking is what I'm good at. I do have a devotional. I had 3 prepared for tonight, but I know that I don't have time for all 3. But I will read to you my favorite one. It's not one that is very long, but I believe that it is very much so relevant to every female. And it's called A Ruby in the Rough. I'll share with you a little bit about my process in writing this book. Renewing the mind, God showed me that my mind was renewed. I wrote the first chapter of this book with ease. I flowed through it. And then for some reason, I stumbled. I had writer's block in the middle. The heart is the center and the core of our being. And I had a rough time. I stopped and I started. There were nights I would sit and write and nothing would come out. And then God revealed to me that there were some things in my heart that I had not dealt with. And I thought I did deal with those things. And I am like the most forgiving person that you could probably meet. I don't hold grudges. I don't have a problem with forgiving and moving on. But there were some things that I needed to deal with. And I even started writing the last chapter of the book. And God revealed to me that in the spirit I'm strengthened. My mind is sturdy. I've been renewed in the mind, but there were some impurities in my heart that I needed to deal with. And when I dealt with those, it began to flow, and I completed the book. This chapter that deals with the heart is the longest chapter in the book, and to me it's the most sentimental. So I'll start with the Ruby in the Rough because it is actually one of the first devotionals that I wrote. It is the devotional that I sent out to get proofread and get testimonials for before I even released the book. And every devotional in the book begins with a scripture. It continues with a hearty devotion, a prayer, and there's a space for you to journal your own thoughts. And at the end, you affirm yourself with the affirmation. So I will try to do this really quickly so that I don't go over my allotted time. A ruby in the rough. She is more precious than ruby. Nothing you desire can compare to her, says Proverbs 3:15, which I'm sure we're mostly familiar with. Nothing compares to a woman of wisdom and grace. A ruby is a rare and precious gem. If God says your wisdom is more precious than ruby, how fabulous is that? In the era we live in today, diamonds get all the attention and makes one feel glamorous by possessing them. Everyone is fascinated with the bling bling, right? According to the word, rubies are rare and far more valuable. The ruby is also mentioned in the context of the Bible more often than diamonds are. The ruby is such a prestigious stone, but still doesn't outweigh the value of having wisdom. Wisdom is priceless. You are priceless. There is no desire held in the heart of man that can compete with your wisdom. It is still unknown to mankind the exact origin of how the ruby was formed. So scientists have come up with their unique and creative ways to determine how it could have been formed through research. However, it was discovered that much like the diamond, in some parts of the earth, at some point, it was subjected to intense pressure and extremely high temperatures below the surface of the earth and was changed as it was erupted by volcanoes to the earth's surface. Everyone and everything of wisdom and value has to go through a refining process, my dear. This wisdom you have was birthed through those disheartening life lessons you endured. In your process of being elevated, you were changed. Keyword is always changed. Everything below the surface has been erupted and reformed. Isn't that amazing? The pain and the pressure made you durable and rock solid, polished and full of radiance and color. You will experience great heat and pressure in your lifetime. When the heat steams or seems to be too hot, think about the ruby. The next time someone refers to you as a diamond, smile and say, no, darling, I'm more like a ruby in the rough, but even more valuable because I am wiser. Sister girl, you are a rare gem. Behold, embrace, and I will go down to our affirmation. Girl, affirm yourself. I am a precious and rare jewel. My wisdom is priceless. I am refined, redeemed, and restored.
That was nice. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Marie, you ready?
Yeah. Yes, I'm ready. So I am, just a little about myself, I am a writer and poet pretty much my whole life. I've been a writer. I started my career as a newspaper reporter and have since transitioned to public relations in my day job. But I have continued writing poetry, published my first book in 2003 when I was finishing grad school and trying to raise a family and do all that. And since then have published 3 more. The most recent one is Kingdom Vision for Audacious Women, which is really an anthology of life lessons from women ages 24, at that time that we wrote it, 24 to 84. So I gathered the words of wisdom and the life lessons that these women wanted to pass on to the next generation. My other books of poetry, which are mine alone, are called Woman's Work, Poems, Songs, and Hope for the Journey, Psalms of a Woman, Selected Poems and Reflections, and I also have a children's book called What Kittens Like. In 2007, I think, I've kind of forgotten the year, 2013, I and a group of women here in North St. Louis County founded what's now called North County Writing and Arts Network. And this is just a collaborative. Of women, writers, poets, healing artists, folk artists, visual and performing artists. And we have kind of become each other's accountability partners, and it's really, I think, helped all of us to grow. So that's kind of where I am now. The pandemic, like everybody else, has kind of shifted my focus. Since our office closed in March, I have been working from home for the past several months, and it's been amazing. With the time that I've saved where I used to be commuting, I used that time to write and to actually even take an online writing workshop. So I have been able to really start lots of new pieces, and that's definitely been helpful. And it's helped me process, all of the transitions that have come with the pandemic. I think, LaShaunda, the piece I will read is a piece I wrote in late 2019. It was selected by Rolla Arts Writing Contest as one of the winners, and I'm still tweaking it a little bit, but I would like to share that piece. Like many of my pieces, it celebrates women and womanhood and all that we go through to become who we are. And it's just called Strong. I am black coffee, tornadic winds, rushing currents of the Mississippi, and the force behind Serena's serve. I am the incredible, damn near mythological, here I come to save the day, strong black woman, carrying the weight of my family and the world, carrying babies without complaining and without even appearing to strain, carrying dreams of the ancestors, aspirations of the children, and standing as a pillar of strength and pillow of comfort for my husband. Carrying trauma, carrying drama, strutting through life, secretly bleeding from compounded wounds of micro and macro aggressions, bearing others' confessions, forgiving repeated transgressions, bandaging pain and sorrow, speaking hope for tomorrow, perfecting the mask with style, grace, and class. Because, after all, I am that strong black woman, as if I've ever had a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. All right. Well, we're going to go right into our break, and then we'll come back and get some good questions for you. This episode's sponsor is SORMAG's Promotion. Promotion is what we do. Promotion can sometimes be a heavy burden that authors believe they have to do alone. SORMAG Promotion is here to help you with your book promotion. We can do daily, weekly, and weekend promotion to get you and your books in front of the multicultural reader. Add us to your promotion plan, and we can help you stay consistent with your book promotion. We also promote literary services and events. Check out the link in the show notes for more information. SORMAG Promotions. Promotion is what we do. Welcome back to SORMAG Writers Cafe podcast. Today we're at the cafe with Marie Chewe-Elliott, Nameica E, Marcia King Gamble. All right, ladies, I have a couple of questions, some current event stuff, but I wanted to know, has COVID made you try anything new?
Do you want me to take that one?
Go ahead, all of you.
Okay. Yeah, actually, it's interesting because I've spent more time at home. Because first, again, with the cruise industry, we closed our offices in the Fort Lauderdale area, and we started working from home. This is before we went on a furlough status. And I'm the type of person who tends to spend a lot of time outdoors and outside. But, of course, with lockdown and everything, and then having a lot of time in my hands after the furlough started, I started getting very crafty. And I'm not a craft person normally. But between writing and crafting, I started doing things like hand painting, hearts, hand painting plates, like the clear plates that you would buy. I got stencils for that. I did more gardening. Again, I've never been really much of a gardener, but I just found it was very, for me, very cathartic for me, because having spent more time at home, and I realized that my creativity, it actually helped my creativity for writing, because I was using my brain in a totally different way as well. So, I try to look at the positive things that have happened, during this pandemic, because I know many people are having a hard time. Incidentally, today I was having a conversation with a doctor friend of mine, and, he was talking about the fact that, the divorce rate has gone up, the domestic violence rate has gone up. Apparently there are 3 to 4, suicide attempts, and I don't want to bring anybody down, a day, just because people are, depressed. And so I have found this is to be a very good outlet, for me focusing on something totally different other than the depressing news, of the world. So I encourage anyone who's out there, try a craft, do something that's totally different, stretch yourself a little bit. I'm going to let somebody else answer now.
I totally agree with that. I invested in me a Cricut, and I've been making bling T-shirts, so that's my new craft.
Cool. That is so cool.
It's wonderful.
It's fun, and then I wanted to try the screen press T-shirt, so that'll be my project this weekend. I'm going to sit down and learn how to do those. But it takes your mind off all the craziness in the world. And it's fun, and then once you're done, you have something cute. So I definitely
exactly, and it's not expensive at all, because it's funny. The dollar store has become my best friend these days, because they have at least in my area, a very extensive craft section, and it's really
dollar
pushed
store
me
has
to
always had that. People slept on the dollar store, but I get plenty of crafts from the dollar store. So
that's what I mean. It's not expensive at all.
Anybody else want to tell?
I could say that the pandemic, I'm also still in corporate America. I've worked in managed healthcare for over 20 years, and it was an answered prayer for me to get back at home. And I have a 16-year-old, so I wanted to be here and more available her last 2 years of high school. But the pandemic has reignited a passion for home decor. I am a residential interior design major, but as life progressed, I got away from that in corporate America, just working and just operating in my gifts. But one of the things I do well is decorate. So I am now incorporating and will be adding a home collection to the Nameica Speaks brand. And if you follow me on social media, you'll begin to see me do more home decor items. I have candles, stemless wine glasses, and I'm taking on a new craft with creating table decor and flower vases and the like. So I am just tapping into my entire creative being, and being at home has made that possible because, as mentioned before, the less time that I spend in traffic, I have more time to do other things that I enjoy. And we know that setting an atmosphere is therapeutic, and it's beneficial for our growth and our mental and emotional sanity. So that's one of the things I want to do for myself and encourage others to do, is to set an environment, an atmosphere, and a space that will help promote your creativity. So I am loving it. The pandemic, as I said, has been good, and I'm looking forward to presenting my craft and my passion for home decor to the public.
I look forward to seeing that. I didn't get the decorating bug, but I liked crafting. I don't know how. I didn't get the decorating bug, but I love different little things. So I'm learning that. So I definitely will be checking you out to get some ideas, because that's my next project, is to do some decorating around this house since I'm in it.
Well, Shonda, I kind of did. Yeah, I took a little different approach, guys, because the pandemic impacted us. Spring and summer, which is the time we usually do a lot of traveling with family to see family, back and forth. It was pretty difficult for me at first, realizing that, oh my God, it's been 6 months since I saw my parents, So what I did is, the new thing that I started is, we started Zoom family chats with the relatives all across the country, and we do them on Sunday evenings. And, I think we thought we would do them at the beginning just because we're kind of like, let's check on each other and make sure everybody's doing okay with all the changes, And I think we thought we were going to do it a month, and so I just wanted to say it's 5 or 6 months in now, and we're still doing these chats every other Sunday with family members all across, literally from coast to coast, now that I'm thinking about it, because we've had them on with the relatives from California all the way to Pittsburgh and Virginia Beach. So I think that's one of the new things. The other one was doing a floral design class online. Local florist drops the stuff at the door, and then you just go on Zoom and do the class. But the greatest thing, I think, has been able to just plan my walks at, the botanical garden or park. Normally, when I would race home after commuting, I would just go straight to the kitchen and maybe start cooking or something, or whatever needed to be done that day. But that has been the most amazing therapy, just to waste an hour, in a park or garden or whatever. So that's kind of what I've done with my extra time.
That's great. We did the chatting too, and most of my family is not online, so it was amusing to see them. Did I mute everybody? It's amusing to see the people get on and try to figure out how the system works and stuff.
Yes.
I set it up and not thinking that they would want to continue, and they're like, "We're not doing this
right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So now you get text saying, "Are we doing the call? Are we doing the text?"
I was not prepared for that at all.
Right.
Started, I said, "Well," they were like, "Well, we're not doing nothing, so we meet." And so I got one of my cousins, and I said, "Look, I do stuff on the weekend, so I can't be."
They don't care, LaShaunda.
No, they don't care. And so look,
right.
My cousins took over and he did it, and they still meet. They meet on Fridays, and whoever wants to pop in and talk.
Right.
So it was really fun. I thought it was a cool idea. I was, you get all the time, we ain't seen so and so since the funeral,
right?
And so I was like, I want to do something that's fun, so that is not about a funeral. And so
exactly.
Really fun. I highly recommend it to anybody who has family all over the country to try
exactly.
It's so nice to see people. We got to see a couple of little nieces that we didn't even know existed.
Yes.
Because you get caught up in life and you don't see anybody, and then you're like, I think that's my baby, cool baby. So.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some current affairs stuff. Well, I'll say some positive before I get to the negative. So I'm really excited about the new openings that the publishing companies are doing, looking for people of color, as they say, books. And so I just wanted to see how you guys felt about that. Do you think that we're going to see an influx of new books, or are they just all mouth?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I definitely believe we'll see an influx because we are living in the age where we are writing history right now. And I believe everyone has a story to tell, whether it's short, whether it's long, whether it's a memoir, documentary. I encourage everyone to start documenting their thoughts and their experiences during this time because we're writing the history for our future generation. And there are books that need to be released right now.
No, I agree with you.
People of color, especially people of color, have an opportunity today that has never existed before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm very optimistic. This is Marcia. I'm very optimistic about the change that's taking place. And I think a lot of it has to, I'm currently the president of Florida Romance Writers. And I resisted being president for over 20-something years just because I'm a busy person. And, my mindset is very, very business-like, and I just, didn't have the time. But I wanted to get involved, especially at this particular time, as a lot of the chapters either danced off and went someplace else after the notorious disagreement that, occurred between two, well-known authors, and then people took sides, and it just became very ugly, and the entire board resigned, and it was just really, really nasty. And we struggled because our group, which is a very close-knit group, in the Fort Lauderdale area, we always, supported each other, and we have, several, events locally. So we really work together to stay a viable chapter. I think what's happening, and without naming any names, I've had several of the editors from different houses, different publishing houses, reach out, encouraging me to have, any of our authors that are, or aspiring writers that are people of color, because the voices are definitely needed. And there's so many different, categories that are lacking in terms of having, a minority voice. And I think with, unfortunately, all the tragedy that we've had, throughout the country, there is an awareness now almost everywhere in being more diverse, realizing that not only are there stories to tell, but there are voices out there that are unique and different and don't just sound like everyone else. And so I truly believe that they're making an effort to reach out. I mean, I know personally one of the things that I did, I was extremely upset. I don't know if anybody else belongs to Romance Writers of America, but after the whole situation happened with the back and forth and so on and so forth, one of the magazines that was released, the cover showed a woman of color being helped up the ladder. And I wrote to the editor at that point, and I said, I cannot believe that you do not have a quality assurance person with this after having a situation happen where you've had chapters closed, where you've had, a division amongst authors, that you would allow this particular magazine cover to be released for the imprint that goes out, to the membership. First of all, Vivian Stevens is the person who started this, who is a woman of color. She is the one who started Romance Writers of America. And I would have expected, a cover that was even showed, equality of some kind, not a person of color being held up the ladder. If you had, two people standing next to each other, that would be fine. If you had gone with a different cover, that would have been fine. But I do think that they are, stepping up and listening. I do think a lot of the publishing houses realized that, inclusivity was necessary, and I think they're really making a sincere effort. So I think more than now, I would encourage anyone to submit. I had one agent and she wasn't my agent, reach out to me, and she said, listen, the time is now. I would encourage anyone, who has been underserved to get out there and, submit their manuscripts. So that's my 5 cents. I talk too much.
That's great, though. That's really great to hear some positiveness in this, because I know when RWA blew up, it was horrible. But I joined RWA in 1999, many moons ago, and I got out in 2006. And I didn't get out because I was having issues. I got out because my mom was ill and I couldn't make the Saturday meetings. I had a really good experience with RWA. I know a lot of other people who didn't, and I saw a lot of the negativity stuff because I was one of those volunteering persons. So I volunteered for being on the boards, and then I did a lot of stuff with the head thing. They did they created a e-newsletter. And I was a part of that for a little while. And I saw the nastiness in that because I was doing interviews, and somebody didn't like that I was doing top-notch interviews, and they weren't getting those interviews for the magazine. And I was like, I just asked. They say yes or no, What are y'all doing, But that was about the ugliest I saw for me, personally, and I just told them, I said, well, I'll stop doing the interviews and leave them, to the person doing the magazine. Fine, but
well, I think it's a fine organization. I personally can say I did not have any personal experiences there with anyone. Simply because I guess, I'm pleasant to a point, but I don't get, too chummy, other than with people that I, pretty much know, and I approach it as a business. So, I don't get into the personal with a lot of individuals. If I am picking up any kind of vibe, I just walk away, so.
Right.
But it's been very helpful to me. I mean, certainly going to conferences, that's where I found, every agent I've had, I found at a conference, every editor that I have, that's ever bought my work, for traditional publishing, I've actually met at a conference and made a relationship. So, I'm not going to knock the organization. I think it's as good as people. And I think, especially as women, we have to remember it's business and stick to business, and not get involved in all the other personal hoopla that goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was a very good organization for learning the craft. Now,
exactly.
Other things is then be prepared. But I also saw one of the things that I learned from this, that they do not like change. And a lot of people had change. When we went to, I was in it when we went to ebooks. And and it was, oh my God, it was very ugly with the ebooks because you weren't a writer. That's what they told the people. You're not a writer because it's not in print. And these people are selling 5,000 and 6,000 copies of the ebook, but you're telling them they're not a writer. And so I saw a lot of people leaving it then. And I was like, oh. And so this right here didn't surprise me because I'm like, they don't like change. They didn't like change when we came into it with the African-American romances, because I heard lots of times, well, they're taking our readers. What? Well, we were, because African-American readers read a lot of, romances. I've been reading romances since I was 9, and none of them had any African-American people in them. So, yeah, you did lose a bunch of people because we went flying over there as soon as they saw the book. And so I think that that's a lot of the bitterness that's in there, because and we didn't come back. That was the difference. Most readers stay with who they love, but we went and found new people to love, and so we didn't go back. And I know they saw their sales drop, and they probably won't never admit that, but I think that's what happened, and that's why it's a lot of animosity towards the African American writers, because you stole their readers. You literally stole their readers, and they had issues with that for years.
But you know what? A good book is a good book is a good book. And I've said this to people before, back in the day when, book signings were very popular. There were times that, I did not have one person of color in my line, depending on where I was book signing. And then we ended up getting pigeonholed, as black writers with only black readers. So it goes, which is kind of interesting as well, too. And so, in a sense, we were marketed just to a certain group of people, and that also prevented sales. And I think a lot of, authors, of color got very upset and angry because they felt stifled.
Yeah, I got that a lot, especially because I did promotion. You saw the companies who promoted the African American books, and then the ones that didn't. And then people go. I said most of my people who I promote pay for their own promotion. The publishers did. I've had maybe 2 or 3 companies that worked with me, and it wasn't the big company that was publishing the romances, And so it was, you got a group of people who mad at you because you stole their readers. Then you got a group of people who feel like you're putting them in a box, And so that was an explosion about to happen, and I'm surprised that it took so long to happen. But I'm not surprised because, people are like, you shocked about this? I'm like, no, because that has been underlined for a long time. The volcano was going to erupt one day because we had a lot of people who really still pissed off about stuff.
Yes.
And
you're absolutely right.
It's going to be a hard way to go because most of the people who really loved RWA left. They were tired of it. And so I don't know how you can lure back people that you've hurt too many times. People,
I think a lot of people have started a lot of it, have the individual chapters. That's what I've heard. They've broken off. They still continue to have writing meetings, but they're not under the umbrella anymore.
Yeah. And I understand that. I ended up having to do that. I was in a writers group organization, and they kept telling us we weren't a group because we only had 4 members. And I was like, well, okay. So I did the membership away, and me and our group went on about our business, and we've been together for 10 years. So
and there you go. Exactly.
And so I can see that happening, and it's sad because RWA has, like I said, the craft of it is just so amazing. You can't get there anywhere else. But hopefully, the smaller groups will maybe move back in later. I don't think it's going to happen this year or next year, but maybe later. So I'm looking forward to
I think a lot of people are soured. But, I think LaShaunda brought up a point about the e-books as well, too. It's interesting with the e-world. Some of my best-selling e-books that are out there on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, I couldn't sell to print. They told me nobody would read them, nobody would be interested in it, whatever. I brushed them up, I polished them, and so those are some of my best sellers.
And I think it's because they came up with the box. The readers didn't read. Like you just said, readers. A good book is a good book. It doesn't matter who wrote it. And I have always believed that I don't care what color the book writer is. If the book is good, I'm going to read it. and we make everything a black or white issue when books have never been that way. No, we when I read Little House on the Prairie, not one person was in there black.
Well, exactly what we grew up on. I mean,
but I was a little girl. I loved it. I read what's my favorite girl? Anne of Green Gables. I love Anne of Green Gables. I still want to go visit the place because of the book. And I don't think they ever said anybody in there was black ever.
No.
They did the TV series and they had a black character in there and I was happy for him, but they didn't have it in the book. And so
True.
But that didn't stop me from reading those books, and I think that if you get a book and you don't pay attention to who the author is, you just read what the summary says. Oh yeah, this is good. Let me read it. And for us as African Americans, we really didn't have much of a choice. We had to go with what was out there. Now we have a choice, and I think that hurt a lot of the other authors because, like I said, we went forward and we didn't come back. We went and tried the new stuff. Like you got new books out. And they were like, hey, the readers are like, yes, let's try this. Let's people are telling me they're changing how romance is. I said, you can't change how romance is. That is romance. And you might come up with a subgenre on that, but I don't have happy ever endings. Then you don't write romance. I'm sorry. But that happens when you don't really know the craft. You come out here and you're going to be an independent author and I'm going to make my own rules. You can make your own rules, but it's something that's set in stone. You can't change. Readers will tear you all to pieces because you keep my man
they do. Absolutely.
He ain't supposed to die at the end. We supposed to get a marriage or some babies, something. What?
Oh, they will let you know.
Yeah, and the new writers are out here trying to change genres up, but no. Readers will let you know. Those reviews will tell you.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Funny.
I have one complaint, and this story came in the news a couple of weeks ago of the young lady. I'm not even going to say her name, but I just wondered how you guys felt about it, pretending that she was black, writing black stories. And that, I don't know, for some that just really irked me because I know as a writer how hard it is to get out here and get somebody to believe in your story and buy your story, especially as an African-American writer. And then you pretending that you're an African-American person, claiming to be fighting for us, claiming to be, and you're teaching our kids, and you're pretending you're somebody else. That just irks me I don't know why, but it does. I just wonder how you guys felt about that.
Well, I mean, I didn't see the reason that she needed to even pretend. Because right. I have written white characters without a problem. I've gone to school most of my life, with mostly, white people in classes, whether it was high school or college, in the New York area. And I can write a white character without anybody even challenging it. And it's interesting, the other thing that I found, and I've, had this, the commentary from editors as well, too. I think what ends up happening with black characters is that we tend to stereotype what the black character is. And I've butted heads and said everybody's experience is different. It depends on the region that you were brought up, how you were brought up, what you experienced. So there is not, there used to be a time when if your heroine didn't come from poor circumstances, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, ghetto type, experience, then it was perceived that this person wasn't black. My whole point is this. I don't know why she would have had to have done that to pretend in order to write it. She should have just written it, from a multicultural perspective, and if she was authentic, I think that nobody would have even questioned what she looked like. So I have a problem with why she went to those ends doing that.
Yeah.
Because when I write white characters, I don't pretend to be white.
Right.
So that's what's troubling to me.
Yeah, and she didn't really have a good excuse, so that's bad for her. She tried to make it say it was a mental thing that, no. Mm-hmm. You have to dig really deep to say, okay, because she had to, I know of African American passing, but I've never heard of a white person deciding to pass like that.
I know, that's crazy. Well, I always think of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Laura Castero Parker, who is a fabulous writer. Laura is extremely, LaShaunda, you know Laura, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know there's always a funny story with Laura as well, too, which the New York Times actually published. Laura is very light-skinned, very light eyes, She never tries to pass. She does not try to pass, never has tried to pass. And when she went to Howard University, when she met her husband is a very dark-skinned Italian guy. She thought he was black. It was really quite an interesting how the two of them got together. And I mean, they're married for ever and ever and ever. But, Laura is very comfortable in who she is. And I know she's had some experiences herself, where people have just presumed initially on her appearance, that, she is a white author. And she's not. And she'll tell you right up front. So that's the other, the other end of it as well.
Yeah, we're so many different shades that it's kind of hard. That's why I guess that's probably what irks me about that, because I'm like, really, lady, really, and she had the experience to talk about it, so I don't understand why you got to pretend that that's all of you, and then all of it just blows up in your face, because somebody's gonna find out. They always, because it's always somebody don't want you to be on top. So they're going to try their best to bring you back down any way they can. So, you always got to make sure all your little ducks is in a row, because that person going to try to pull you down always, because they don't want you to be successful. And as an African-American, no, they don't want you to be successful. So I don't know how she thought that she was going to get away with it, because we just got too many haters in the world.
Well, I just don't know what the point was. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I don't understand what the point was.
I don't either. That's just shocking to me. So shocking. Woo.
Oh, well.
Right.
It takes all kinds.
It does. It really does. So, how are you all reaching new readers during COVID?
I spend a lot of time on the Internet. What I have found, I mean, for me, and other authors have a difference of opinion, because I remember when, let's say, Facebook started, and one author, and I'm not going to mention her name, reached out to me and said, oh, my goodness, why do you have all these, friends on Facebook that are other authors? That's not the point. And she couldn't get her head wrapped around the fact that we all support each other, and that having another author friend, if your book comes out, they'll post your cover, they'll share with their book groups. I can't begin to tell you the number of fans that I picked up, just from other authors, with sharing, and encouragement and so on and so forth. So I try to stay very, active, on, social media, not only Facebook, but I use Pinterest a lot. I find Pinterest to be very helpful, especially for people who are visual, because I can build a storyboard there, a story about my story, on board. I have reached out with a number of authors. We've collaborated so that we kind of share each other's newsletter list. So, we've offered some, promotions. I'm a big fan of giving stuff away, because it doesn't hurt to give away, a book or two, or an Amazon gift card or what have you. And because people are reading more as well, too. I've looked at even my statistics and realized that with, people are at home, so they're using, if they have Kindle Unlimited, they're using that library, they're buying more books, and just trying to keep, people more, engaged. On Sundays, I have a Spicy Sunday column, which is sort of a relationship question. It's kind of a battle of the sexes, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. And that, the word has gotten out, and, little by little, I've grown a pretty good base on that one. So that's what I've tried to do, is just keep myself, visible out in social media, reach out to other groups, book clubs, readers, and grow my readership that way.
Yeah, me too, LaShaunda. I pretty much had to do the same thing. At the beginning of 2020, we had all of these great in-person book parties planned for the book that we were releasing. And I think the book literally was out 2 weeks before we were in Missouri, sent home basically. And then quarantined for the most part because we had really stringent rules regarding gatherings, etc., public gatherings and event spaces at the beginning. So I have had to move book parties, conferences, podcasts, whatever broadcast I thought I was doing in 2020 has pretty much been online all year since March, actually. And I gotta admit, guys, I'm kind of liking not doing all this running, and it's going to be really hard for me to come back to some of this stuff. Yeah. I miss the in-person interaction, though, especially with female readers, because I, write to, for, and about females, and I do miss the energy in the room with the group of readers, and I know with you guys writing romance, you know what I'm talking about. It's a different, it's hard to duplicate that on Zoom, but it's what we have to work with.
Yes, Zoom has saved a lot of lives this year.
Is one of my main dreams for connecting because I read and network a lot on both social media and outside. Whenever I'm out, I make it known that I'm an author. I always give my card out, and someone always invites me to a book club or some type of, whether it be online or in person, social gathering. But for the most part, I do a lot of collaborations with other authors. I just had an author who attended one of my vision board workshops about 3 years ago. She has written her second book, and she did a virtual book launch, and it was fabulous. And she gave away prizes. She promoted other authors. She put my book in a gift bag, and she raffled it. So that was, I think, one way of reaching other readers and other authors. So collaboration and networking is key for me.
Mm-hmm. That's good too, because I did a lot of collaborations this year. All my stuff I had planned was canceled, but I have done so many events this year than I did last year live. So I've enjoyed Zooming and meeting new people and doing different things. I definitely say collaborations is a great way to do it, because not only are you getting introduced to their community, you're introducing them to your community. And so it's a win situation. If you don't want to do something by yourself, look and see what other people are doing. Can you be a part of that? I'm doing the book festival in November, so if I'm always inviting people to try that, do something different, introduce yourself. There's no Zooming. All of it is held inside a Facebook group, but it's so much fun to go in and introduce yourself to new readers that may not never heard of you. And a lot of people go to the same stuff over and over again, but I always recommend that you try at least something new to meet different people that way.
Yeah, I'm going to put in a plug for Zoom as well, too, because what I found with Zoom is that because of the pandemic, a lot of the editors are more available. I've had, through Florida Romance Writers, we've had some virtual cocktail parties. And it's been amazing, just reaching out to the traditional publishers. We've had some heavy hitters join us, for the virtual, cocktail party, because they're home as well, too. they're looking to reach out and looking for new writers. And so they've come to the virtual cocktail parties and did their presentation, about, what they're looking for. So that's something that I would recommend, because I was surprised at the people, the caliber of people who told us, yes, love to join the cocktail party. Mm-hmm. And those are usually well attended because, word gets out, and of course everybody wants to, be part of, especially if it's a, senior level, acquiring, editor who's joining the cocktail party, or a very well-known agent or something of that kind. And then word gets out. I mean, I had people emailing me who were not even part of the chapter asking if they, because we didn't charge anything for it either, with the Zoom. So it was free.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great.
It's the same with me and the virtual girl party. I have the virtual girl party, and it's fruit cocktails and conversations. And I invite other authors, editors, basically anyone in the literary world, and readers to join the virtual girl party. And we have girl talk, and it opens up other doors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you, to your point about, or somebody's point about networking, it's a great way, because even if you don't know somebody, they'll contact you afterwards and say, really enjoyed connecting with you, and they'll share something with you. So again, it's a good opportunity to network.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I definitely say don't be the fly on the wall, be the social butterfly, because that's the opportunity to meet different people. And as an end, you see, if you're at the cocktail party and and the editor says that's your end. Well, you send your query letter. We were at the cocktail party together. Okay.
Absolutely.
Remember you, but you remember them. And so.
And you're so right. You are so right, LaShaunda, because after one of our virtual parties, before that, the information about we're looking for unheard voices or unsound voices, multicultural authors, the buzzword, et cetera, I had one of those senior level people contact me and put a bug in my ear and said, guess what? This is what's going to happen, and here's what we're looking for, and it hasn't been publicized yet, but spread the word.
Yeah.
So. And I would not have had a leg up on that had I not had that Zoom cocktail party.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope you did too. Can you tell us how we can get in touch with you online?
Absolutely.
Everybody starts to say.
Okay.
Let's know when you go first.
Okay.
Is it Nameica?
Going first?
Yes.
Okay. You can reach me on all social media outlets. Mostly I'm active on Instagram and Facebook at Nameica Speaks, or Instagram at Nameica Craig. My Facebook business page is Nameica Speaks. I'm very active on the Nameica Craig public Facebook page. We have the Girl Affirm Yourself community Facebook group. I'd love to have you guys request and join. I will be doing some new things in there. Right now I'm on social media detox, but when I return after my 14 days is over on a week, I will be back active and live. Instagram. Every other Thursday I have Confident Conversations. I usually have a guest along with me when I don't have a particular message individually. And on Facebook it's every Thursday at 9:30 on the Nameica Craig page is Confident Conversations. And Girl Affirm Yourself is on Amazon. You can also visit my website at www.nameicaspeaks.com.
All right, thank you. Marie?
The best place is my website, which is my name, MarieChewe-Elliott.com. You can also get me on Facebook or Instagram, or also at the collaborative Facebook page or on Meetup, which is North County Writers and Artists Network. That's it.
You ready, Marcia?
Yep, my turn. Okay. Yeah, well, Marcia King Gamble, that's my name, so I am on Facebook. That's where you'd find me. And, please join me on Sunday, Spicy Sunday, for relationship questions. I'm on Instagram using my name as well, too. You can search me that way. LoveMarcia.com is my website. And the only other social media platform that it might be a little tricky finding me on is on Twitter, because I'm listed under South Florida Muse, as in abbreviated SOFLAMUSE. That is my Twitter handle.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you so much, LaShaunda. I just want to say I really enjoyed meeting the other ladies and, sharing information. It's been very, very, very informative, and I thank you all, ladies, for being so open and honest.
Likewise.
Thank you, and thank you, LaShaunda, as well, for having me.
Thank you, LaShaunda.
You're most welcome. Thank you. I would like to thank our sponsor for this episode, SORMAG Promotion. Promotion is what we do. Check the link in the show notes for more information. I want to thank you, our listeners, for taking time to listen to the podcast. I hope what our guest shared was helpful for you today. I have 3 questions for you. Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, subscribe to the platforms you are listening to so you don't miss an episode. Number 2, what did you think of this episode? Tell us by writing a review. Send it to onesormag@gmail.com. Number 3, did you learn something from this episode? If you did, please share the podcast with your community. If you have a topic you want us to discuss in the cafe, or you would like to be a guest or a sponsor of an episode, contact me at onesormag@gmail.com. One last question for you. Have you promoted your book or business today? If you haven't, go showcase those wings. Someone needs what you have to offer. This is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I will see you on the next.